Hey guys, have you ever pondered the thought of who is better at video games, boys or girls? In our systematic society, usually girls have been portrayed to not usually be interested in gaming. But in today's culture, there has been a rise of female player base in video games. I was quite intrigued by this fact, and I came across a video that even talked about girls in esports, but sadly the main motive was to comically talk about how bad female gaming esports teams are. I felt very unjust by this because I love women and I wanted to research this topic on my own, since this video mostly covered League of Legends, a strategy game, while there are many other genres of video games for esports. Luckily, another motive came up. I had to do a international bachelorette internal assessment for the subject of biology, or bio-IA for short. In layman's terms, this is doing a research paper in the subject of biology, but you get to choose any topic from that course. Yes, any topic, as long as it's mostly a part of the curriculum. There can be outside research and sources. And another thing I like about it is one of the key component is personal engagement. This means you should try to enjoy your research topic or have a personal reason as to why you did it. This goes along as to why I did a research paper on who was better at video games, boys or girls, because I definitely do not have the motivation to do this type of research on my own. So that's enough about the background / context of this video. The actual research of my paper talked about how one of my sources stated females are more efficient with motor skills and coordination, while males are better in visual reaction. More general information on the science of gaming. The nervous system is what's responsible for being able to transmit information, whether it is physical actions such as aiming or reflexes, or mental information to the brain such as short-term memory. With this in mind, I knew of a website that would help create these tests to tell the difference and create a measure between participants. The Human Benchmark website. This website provides an aim trainer test, a reaction test, and a chimp test. The aim trainer test is clicking targets as fast as possible. The reaction test is clicking the screen when it tells you to. And the chimp test is where you click the number of squares according to their number, and when you have to try to remember which squares have which numbers, since the numbers are covered up when you begin the test. And it adds another square after each test to make it progressively harder. Now the hypothesis of this lab is males will score significantly higher than females on the human benchmark test because males have better visual reaction time, which is superior to women having better motor skills. This will lead to males having the biological advantage over females for video game skill. The null hypothesis is there will be no significant differences on the human benchmark test scores between males and females. Independent variable is the human benchmark test. The dependent variable is the numerical results on the human benchmark test. Materials include a computer, access to the internet, computer mouse. The controlled variables would be the type of mouse, Wi-Fi connection, same number of tests, and time in between each test to allow participants to refocus their minds and relax between each trial. The procedure follows. Gather about an even amount of participants, 50% girls, 50% boys if possible. Take note if they do any physical activity such as sports or even play video games consistently. Probably will consist of my friends / high schoolers, so ages 15 to 18. And it's important to note if they are known to have any nervous system disabilities such as ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Have the participants take a survey regarding how many hours of playing video games, if they do play video games, question their experience with video games, and any information about their internet and type of mouse. I will conduct the experiment under the school's Wi-Fi to keep the internet connection consistent, and I will provide them with the laptop and mouse if I were to do this in school, but sadly COVID has forced me to stay online schooling, so they will have to be using their own resources. Give them the aim trainer test, reaction time test, and memory test. Next, allow the participants to have a practice run with each test. Then, when the participant is ready, have them perform 3 trials with each test and let them have a minute to refocus their mind, about a minute. Make sure they have adequate equipment for the test, such as a computer mouse or decent Wi-Fi to ensure there's no latency on the website. Record their results. Repeat the procedure with all the participants. Lastly, display a graph of data if the results have a prominent correlation with how much hours of video games the participants play. Now that the procedure has been explained, I have already collected the data in this experiment. This data will be found in a link in the description along with my bio IA paper. Please check it out as I will keep referring to it throughout my explanation of the data. For the aim trainer test and the reflex test, the males are significantly faster than the females by 135.11 milliseconds and 26.56 milliseconds respectively. However, for the amount of numbers recalled, females had a slightly higher mean than the males by 0.34. But because the difference is incredibly small, it cannot be truly used to determine which gender has the better memory. Also, my idea that as each trial was performed, their scores would also increase as well. Was correct, except for a few exceptions. The male side for the aim trainer only got faster up to the second trial. The female side for the reflex test got faster up to the second trial. And for the memory test, the female side scored a little lower on their last trial. This could be due to fatigue after performing each test consecutively without any major physical or mental breaks in between each test. My hypothesis about the aim trainer and reflex test was correct, but my prediction for the memory test was incorrect. The male's physical capability proved to be superior. However, when it came to the memory test, which focuses more on mental processing than physical actions, the females proved to be better than the males by a little bit. Improvements to the experiment would be to have the participants use one computer to ensure there's no variables in the latency of the aim trainer test or reaction test. Also, if I could have done this experiment in person, then I would be able to control the type of mouse variable. A wired would have been used because it's a little faster than a wireless mouse, less latency. This experiment would also have been applied to different age groups, which would have been interesting to examine, but the main research question is focusing on gender, so I felt it's important to keep the age range similar. All of my participants were adolescents in high school. An improvement that had occurred while collecting my data was some of the participants were unfamiliar with the test, so I could have had the participants be required to do a practice round to ensure they knew what they were doing. I also could have given each participant a controlled amount of time to allow them to perform the best they can for each trial and every test. Overall, my experiment was structured as best I could due to quarantine preventing any in-person actions. If I was able to have in-person actions, then this experiment could have been optimized a little bit using consistent technology. The significance of this experiment can show the differences between biological genders and how the two sexes have strengths and weaknesses when compared to each other. That's why most sports separate athletes by sex due to males having a superior advantage, but when it comes to other activities that don't completely rely on physical abilities, females are able to compete as much as men can. I mostly covered what my bio IA had to say, but if you would like to check out the paper itself, it'll be in the description like I said. Thank you for watching. I hope I enlightened your day and you learned something new.